Haruto got reincarnated as a royal prince with a mana level of 1002, which was insanely high, but because the measuring devices in this world only showed 2 digits, everyone thought his power was only level 2. Instead of being treated like some gifted genius, this poor shut-in got thrown into the forest right after he was born. In his last life, Haruto was a bullied middle schooler who stopped leaving his room and lost all hope for his future. His life was empty, and one day he woke up in front of a mystic guide. She told him he had been chosen for reincarnation and explained that his new world ran completely on magic ability. She promised to give him overpowered skills, but Haruto had zero interest in being a hero or saving anyone. All he wanted was a quiet, lazy life where he could watch anime, play games, and sleep whenever he wanted. The mystic guide sent him off, and Haruto immediately realized the worst part: he had to start over as a baby. He was born as Prince Reinhardt, the son of King Jilk and Queen Giselote. At first, it seemed like a lucky start because royalty meant he could live comfortably without working hard, but then the royal magician checked his mana and announced that the baby only had level 2 mana with no element, so he could only use barrier magic. His parents panicked because they couldn't accept a weak child in the royal family, and instead of protecting their own son, they decided to tell everyone that the prince died during childbirth. Jilk ordered someone to abandon him far away in a forest. Haruto couldn't believe that after being bullied in his previous life, even his new parents turned out to be trash. The mystic guide soon realized her mistake. She gave Haruto a mana level of 102, but the world's measuring devices only showed 2 digits, and she forgot to give him an element. So Haruto was broken from the start, but no one understood him. In the forest, baby Haruto struggled to move because his body was still useless, but then he remembered he could use barrier magic, so he tried it. He easily created barriers and quickly learned that he could change their size, shape, and color, and use them almost any way he wanted. He even attached a barrier to himself and started moving with its help. Then, a huge magical beast attacked him. Haruto protected himself with barriers and fought back with small attacks, but they barely hurt the monster, so he made bigger barriers and started smashing the monster through the trees. The beast finally panicked and surrendered. Haruto then realized the monster could talk, and it was a flame Fenrir who wanted to eat him for his mana. Since Haruto still couldn't talk like a normal baby, he created a barrier that turned his thoughts into sound. The Fenrir was shocked because this newborn baby could talk and control such powerful magic. Haruto introduced himself with his old name because he found Reinhardt too annoying. When the Fenrir sensed his overwhelming mana, she assumed he must be the reincarnated Demon King. Haruto didn't want to admit he was just a jobless shut-in before, so he went along with the lie. The dumb wolf believed him instantly. The Fenrir accepted defeat and told him to end her, but Haruto just told her not to attack him again. She was deeply moved by his mercy. When he casually shortened her name to Flay, she took it as a special name and decided their master-servant pact was complete. Haruto had no intention of forming a pact, but Flay already gave him full loyalty like some dramatic samurai. Then Haruto faced a problem his overpowered magic couldn't solve. He was hungry and needed milk. He asked Flay for help in the dumbest way possible, and she took him seriously. Flay changed into a human woman, but first appeared without clothes, which made Haruto panic and create an outfit for her. Then she explained she couldn't produce breast milk unless she made it, so she confidently started offering herself. Haruto realized this loyal demon had almost no common sense. Before things could get worse, Flay sent someone nearby. A man named Gold appeared and said he came to save the baby. Flay refused because she now saw Haruto as her master, but Gold explained that this child belonged to his relatives and was abandoned for having low potential. Flay got angry because humans made no sense to her, but Gold said he still wanted the child to live. He had lost his own unborn child, so he believed every baby deserved a chance at life. Hearing this, Flay broke down and accepted his offer. Gold agreed to take Haruto with him, and Flay became his personal attendant so she could stay by Haruto's side. Gold had Flay remove the royal clothes and swaddle Haruto differently so no one would connect him to the abandoned prince. 9 years passed, and Haruto grew up safely under the care of Gold and Natalia. He had planned to leave as soon as he didn't need milk anymore, but his new family showed him so much kindness that he stayed. He only had one real problem: Charlotte, his cute little sister, who acted shy and distant around him. Even worse, Charlotte loved Flay and happily played with her, while she treated Haruto like some suspicious old creep. Natalia told Haruto that Charlotte was probably just shy around boys her age, but Haruto suspected she could somehow sense he was mentally almost 30, especially since she once said he smelled like a shut-in old man. Natalia suggested he should do something nice for Charlotte and show her he was a reliable big brother, but Haruto didn't want that kind of social pressure. He even thought about leaving the estate, but Flay would definitely follow him, which would only make Charlotte hate him more. He'd spent years studying barrier magic so he could eventually leave without hurting anyone. He even created a barrier doll copy of himself, but it still couldn't talk or move. Then he realized he'd need a Flay copy too, because getting rid of that clingy demon was impossible. Before he could continue his lazy escape plan, Gold called him outside and started sword training. Haruto pretended he wanted to study ancient magic to avoid it, but Gold took his interest seriously and still forced him to train. Since Gold was a powerful warrior, Haruto secretly used barriers to protect himself and boost his movement. He dodged an attack that should have been impossible for a weak child. Gold noticed something was wrong. Haruto also thought his powers were strange, but he still believed his official mana level was only 2 and assumed that not having an element let him use magic more efficiently. Gold didn't fully buy this excuse. Later that night, he told Natalia that Haruto might be a returned demon or someone with demonic traits, and that the royal insignia might have strange powers. Natalia refused to believe Haruto was anything but their son, but Charlotte overheard the conversation. Now the little girl had heard there might be something demonic about her brother. Gold got busy for a while, which was honestly great news for Haruto because it meant no annoying sword training. But then the mansion suddenly turned into a mess. Injured soldiers kept getting brought in, and everyone was running around for bandages, antiseptic, and healing magic. Haruto went outside and saw Gold's men badly wounded. Gold explained that thieves had attacked the province, so he took his troops to their base, but before they could strike, the enemy ambushed them from behind. Gold had prepared carefully, but he still got played like an amateur, and it was clear this hurt his pride more than his wounds. Flay immediately insulted Gold for losing to thieves, but Haruto snapped at her to keep her mouth shut. This was one of the rare times he actually looked serious. Then he secretly used his barrier magic to heal the injured soldiers. Their wounds closed, their limbs recovered, and everyone was shocked because no one understood what just happened. Later, Haruto woke up and saw Flay still standing silently outside his room. This idiot had actually obeyed his order literally and kept her mouth shut the whole time. Haruto realized he had lost his temper, so he apologized, but Flay still didn't get what she had done wrong. Then Haruto took her with him and decided to find the people who attacked Gold. They reached the enemy base and quickly noticed something strange. These people looked like thieves, but some of them were clearly trained soldiers. Haruto realized this must be where Gold's men were ambushed, and Flay suspected the enemy already knew they were coming, which meant someone inside the kingdom had leaked information. Haruto didn't waste time. He used barriers to freeze the enemies in place and started interrogating them. The leader and his men soon revealed they were actually soldiers from the neighboring empire. They disguised themselves as thieves to create chaos inside the kingdom, and they had an accomplice who helped them cross the border. After the soldiers confessed everything, they begged for mercy, but Haruto didn't care about their excuses. They had attacked his father, so he had no reason to let them go. He ordered Flay to burn down the whole fort, and she happily carried out his revenge. The base went up in flames, and later, Haruto sent Gold an anonymous letter explaining what happened. Gold got confirmation that the fort was destroyed. He realized these had never been normal thieves and understood the empire was involved. He also ordered the border garrison to be investigated. Charlotte asked who defeated the bad guys, and Gold assumed it was probably Flay because the attack was ruthless, efficient, and used fire. But Charlotte wasn't convinced. The night before, she had seen Haruto and Flay flying away, but when she checked Haruto's room, he was still there. Even stranger, the Haruto in the room didn't have the scary aura she always felt from him. So Charlotte asked Flay if there were 2 Harutos. Flay accidentally made things worse by explaining that Charlotte could sense Haruto's overwhelming mana, and his power was way beyond human limits, but she refused to reveal Haruto's real identity. Flay reported all this to Haruto, and now he realized Charlotte had discovered his clone. He panicked because his little sister already found him suspicious, so he created surveillance barriers to track her movements, but Charlotte also started following him around like a tiny spy. She watched him from corners, hallways, and even near the bath, making Haruto realize she was more stubborn than he expected. A few days later, Natalia and Charlotte prepared to travel for the annual festival. Haruto suggested taking Flay along for protection, but Natalia said Flay was absent. Haruto explained he had sent her around the province to intimidate monsters so they would stop attacking towns and villages. He admitted Flay was actually useful when she didn't act like a loyal disaster. During the trip, Imperial soldiers attacked Natalia and Charlotte's group. The guards tried to protect them, but the enemy overwhelmed them. Haruto's surveillance barrier alerted him, and he immediately realized something terrible was happening. As he rushed toward them, he used his barrier to guide Charlotte from a distance. Charlotte followed the strange directions and told Natalia where to run. Natalia carried Charlotte through the forest, but her mana quickly ran low. Charlotte led her to a cave, but the place was filled with glowing moss, so they couldn't hide properly. Natalia understood their helper must be nearby, and called this unknown person a hero of justice. She told Charlotte to stay quiet while she went to find this hero and keep the enemies away from her daughter. Natalia stepped outside and noticed advanced illusion magic before the Imperial soldiers cornered her. Since she refused to be captured, Natalia prepared a desperate final move, but Haruto arrived before it was too late. He saw her unconscious and immediately lost his temper. The Imperial soldiers had officially pissed off the wrong shut-in. Haruto took down the enemies and then went to Charlotte. He told her Natalia was alive and just passed out, so she needed to take care of her for a while until help arrived. Charlotte felt his scary aura and realized this person had to be Haruto, but since he saved them, her fear finally turned into admiration. She asked if he was a hero of justice, and Haruto's brain almost crashed because this was basically his first real conversation with his sister. Charlotte believed it right away because Natalia had just explained the same thing to her. Even so, he played along and admitted he was a hero who punished bad guys. Haruto told her to keep his true identity a secret, and Charlotte happily agreed even though it meant she'd have to lie to Gold. Haruto felt guilty, but he was already too deep in, so he couldn't back out now. After that, Haruto dealt with the remaining attackers and secretly healed the injured guards again. Later, Gold got a report that Natalia and Charlotte were safe. Flay had joined them, and the wounded guards had mysteriously recovered. Gold wanted to thank the hidden savior, but Haruto casually said that guy would probably stay on their side as long as they behaved. Then Haruto slipped up and mentioned the Imperial soldiers, which made Gold suspicious. He quickly covered it up and pretended he had just guessed because normal thieves attack towns, not noble women. Gold followed this logic and realized someone on their own side must have helped the Empire. Then he mentioned a shrewd vixen, hinting that the real enemy might be closer than Haruto thought. Finally, Natalia and Charlotte returned safely. Charlotte immediately ran to Haruto and hugged him, shocking everyone because she used to avoid him like a cursed object. She awkwardly said there was no need to worry because everyone had their own circumstances, which made the whole thing sound suspicious as hell. Then she happily declared she loved Haruto now. Haruto decided this was still a win because his little sister finally liked him, but Flay got jealous and tried to pull Charlotte away from her precious master. Now, Charlotte loved Haruto so much that she barged into his room almost every day and asked him to play with her. Haruto still didn't know how to handle this clingy little sister, but honestly, he liked it because her affection felt strangely relaxing. One day, Charlotte noticed Haruto using surveillance magic and asked if it was ancient magic. Haruto remembered he once lied to Gold about studying ancient magic, so he casually went with that. Then Charlotte told him there were books about ancient magic in the castle library and took him there. Haruto was surprised because he never knew this place existed. He started reading a book about reviving ancient magic and learned that ancient magic was non-elemental, while modern magic used the 4 elements. This caught his attention, so he started thinking maybe his barrier magic was somehow connected to ancient magic. Charlotte proudly explained she had read some theories with help from Natalia and Flay, then asked Haruto to read to her too. Haruto decided this was his chance to activate his big brother skills, but Charlotte immediately sat on his lap because Natalia and Flay always read to her like that. Haruto accepted it and kept reading like a responsible brother while secretly panicking inside. During the reading, Haruto found a part about beings traveling between different worlds and remembered anime. He got nostalgic because he hadn't watched anime since reincarnation. Charlotte asked what anime was, so Haruto tried to explain it as talking moving pictures. He got excited and started rambling, but instead of judging him, Charlotte was amazed and called it strange magic. She said she wanted to see it. That hit Haruto right in the heart. Charlotte was just happy because he looked excited, so Haruto silently thanked Natalia for raising such a sweet girl. After that, he worked for 2 weeks and somehow created a connection to modern Japan's internet. His old streaming subscription was still active, so this shut-in basically pulled off Fantasy World Wi-Fi sorcery just for anime. Haruto made a child account for Charlotte and let her choose something to watch. She picked a cute magical girl anime, and as soon as the character moved and talked, Charlotte's mind was completely blown. She was amazed the picture was alive, but then realized a big problem. She couldn't understand Japanese. Charlotte asked Haruto to teach her, and he warned her that learning a new language wasn't easy. But this little girl turned out to be terrifyingly smart. She mastered hiragana and katakana in just 2 hours, then started learning basic kanji too. Haruto was shocked and wondered what kind of monster children existed in this world. 2 weeks later, Charlotte had basically learned Japanese through anime and was fully hooked. She started watching a zombie hero anime and got obsessed with heroes of justice who protected people. Haruto worried she might be a genius, and letting her binge anime could be a bad idea. Still, she looked so happy that his big brother Heart struggled to stop her. Eventually, Haruto acted strict and told her she could only watch 3 hours a day. Charlotte was crushed like an addict who lost her supply, but Haruto insisted too much screen time was bad for kids. At dinner, Gold noticed Charlotte spent a lot of time with Haruto and asked what they were doing. Charlotte immediately said they were studying ancient magic, and Natalia happily supported her. Later, Charlotte came to bathe with Haruto because he told her to bathe early and go to sleep. Haruto knew they were both children, but the whole situation still felt criminal to him. During the bath, Charlotte noticed the insignia on his body and believed it was the mark of a hero of justice. Haruto played along and told her to keep his hero identity a secret. That night, Natalia secretly saw Charlotte sleeping beside Haruto and was overjoyed because her dream of close siblings was finally coming true. Haruto, meanwhile, just wanted everyone to let him sleep like a normal lazy person. Later, Gold left to defeat another group of thieves. Charlotte worried about him, but Haruto told her these thieves used to be commoners, so Gold would manage. Charlotte asked why people became thieves, and Haruto explained that power struggles in the kingdom made things messy. Charlotte sadly asked if there was any way everyone could live happily, then asked if Haruto could use his powers to help. Haruto knew this heroic mindset came straight from anime, but he couldn't refuse her. Charlotte expected him to transform like a hero, so Haruto used magic to create a grown-up black armored form. Charlotte was amazed and wanted to come along, but Haruto refused. Instead, he let her watch through his surveillance magic. Haruto found the thieves, blocked their escape with barriers, and appeared before them as a hero of justice. He knocked everyone out quickly and worried the performance wasn't cool enough for Charlotte. Then Gold arrived and asked who he was. Haruto panicked because he hadn't prepared a hero name, so he accidentally gave the dumbest possible answer and called himself Still Pending. To cover for it, he started talking about justice like some edgy amateur actor. After that, Haruto kept helping in secret and eventually became known as the Black Knight. Charlotte admired this alter ego, while Haruto died inside from embarrassment every time he had to act like a dramatic hero. Months later, Haruto finally completed his robot copy. This copy could talk, answer questions, and act almost exactly like him. Haruto was thrilled because it meant he could finally live like a shut-in while the clone handled annoying duties. But then Charlotte came in and saw two Harutos talking at the same time. She panicked and asked which one was her Haruto, while both Harutos immediately rejected the idea that either of them belonged to her. At that moment, a maid reminded Haruto that he needed to get ready to depart. Haruto told his clone to take his place, but the copy refused, proving it had perfectly inherited his laziness. Soon after, Prince Laius and Princess Marianne arrived from the royal capital. Haruto realized these two were probably actually his blood siblings, but Laius immediately proved he was a spoiled royal idiot. He insulted everyone, treated Marianne like a political tool, and called Haruto a level 2 orphan. Then he challenged Haruto to a duel to teach him manners. Haruto checked Laius's level and saw the prince wasn't anything special. During the duel, Laius attacked confidently, but Haruto dodged every attack with self-augmenting magic. When Laius told him to fight back, Haruto casually knocked him down. Marianne was shocked because if Haruto was really level 2, he shouldn't have been able to move like that. Laius lost his temper and started throwing fireballs. Haruto absorbed them with his barrier magic, then asked if Laius wanted them all sent back at once. The prince immediately realized he had messed with the wrong level 2 kid. After the duel, Marianne apologized for her brother and asked if Haruto was really level 2. Haruto confirmed it and quickly left because he wanted nothing to do with royal drama. But then he remembered something strange. The royal capital knew about his level 2 mana, which meant his birth parents might have been getting information about him, even though they threw him away without hesitation. Still, Haruto doubted they cared enough to search for him, so he decided not to think too deeply about it. Charlotte was now fully addicted to Haruto's Black Knight patrols, so every suspicious person became a new mission for this tiny anime-brained girl. Because of that, Haruto barely got any peace. Then Flay suddenly returned after finding out Haruto was going on missions without her. She begged to join him, and Charlotte immediately treated it like a hero story, where the main hero finally gets a loyal partner. Haruto already knew this was going to be a headache, so he warned Flay not to use too much violence while Charlotte was watching. Flay agreed like a loyal servant, but as soon as they found thieves with stolen goods, she ignored it anyway. Haruto appeared as the Black Knight, while Flay introduced herself as the Crimson Knight Flame Fenrir, then immediately tried to burn the thieves alive like a complete psycho. Haruto kept stopping her with barriers and ordered her to stay like a dog, while Charlotte watched and thought their argument was some kind of comedy routine. The thieves were defeated, but Haruto was mentally exhausted. Flay felt useless because something kept blocking her attacks, and she still didn't know it was Haruto stopping her. On the other hand, Charlotte loved the whole performance and wanted to see more of their hero comedy. Haruto realized his peaceful shut-in life was slipping further away. After that, Laius was still bitter about losing to Haruto. He couldn't accept that a supposed worthless level 2 had humiliated him. A royal captain came to meet him and told him to invite Charlotte on the next day's tour. Laius didn't understand why he had to bring a little girl, but the captain pressured him and said it was for his own good. Later, Charlotte returned from the banquet and told Haruto that Laius had invited her to join the tour. Haruto immediately got suspicious and wondered if the prince had weird tastes. Since Charlotte would be there, Haruto decided to check the tour route himself. While scouting at night, he found a suspicious group gathered around a magic circle. He politely asked what they were doing, but they attacked him because they thought he worked for gold. The enemy summoned skeleton soldiers, and for a moment, Haruto got excited because seeing undead monsters in real life felt like a video game. But when the skeletons kept coming, he noticed red cores inside their bodies and used barriers to stop them. The summoners panicked and brought out a golem next. The golem hit really hard, but Haruto found a core inside its chest too. When he drove a stake-shaped barrier into it, he accidentally overrode its magic formula, and the golem started obeying his power. Now the summoners were completely screwed. Haruto trapped them and asked who they were. When they refused to answer properly, he started burying them alive with his barriers and gave them a simple choice: either tell the truth or stay underground. This finally broke them. The leader admitted they belonged to the Queen Consort's personal summoner unit. They were preparing to attack the farmland tour with summoned beasts, and their target was Charlotte. Haruto froze when he heard this. The summoner explained Charlotte could someday surpass the Queen Consort in magical ability, and if the Margrave supported her, the kingdom could split into two factions. He also revealed the earlier Imperial soldiers were part of the same plan, but since they failed twice, the Queen sent her own unit this time. Haruto finally understood everything. The attacks on Gold, Natalia, and Charlotte were all arranged by Giselot, his biological mother. She abandoned him as a baby to protect her status, and now she was trying to remove Charlotte for the same reason. Haruto almost let it run berserk from anger, but he stopped himself. He decided he wouldn't let anyone take his loved ones, even if that person was his own mother. The next day, the tour started. Charlotte and Marianne tried to comfort Laius after his loss, but Charlotte made things worse by saying he never had a chance of winning against Haruto. Laius got angry and asked how Haruto defeated him without using obvious magic. Haruto casually explained that he just told himself to be strong, which shocked Laius and Marianne because that was a stupid explanation for advanced self-augmentation. Laius started suspecting Haruto might be a returned monster. Charlotte explained that rare descendants of monsters and humans could show monster traits, and Marianne added that returned monsters had abnormal physical abilities and high mana. Marianne checked Haruto's features and said he didn't seem to have horns, strange ears, or strange eyes. Then Charlotte proudly added that Haruto's skin was smooth and shiny because she bathed with him. Everyone immediately freaked out, and Haruto quickly explained it wasn't his idea. They reached the wheat field, and Charlotte got excited because she thought the field was filled with endless grass. She ran off with Marianne, while Haruto used the moment to talk privately with Gold. He asked what Gold would do if the Queen Consort was after Charlotte. Gold revealed he had already gotten a letter from the Black Knight and found the Queen's hand-picked magicians passed out exactly where the letter said. Gold already knew Giselot saw him as an enemy, but learning she targeted Charlotte confirmed she wanted to erase his whole family. The problem was, they couldn't retaliate openly. Giselot was the Queen Consort, and the real power behind the royal capital. King Jilk had lost his political strength long ago, and many nobles only held back because Giselot controlled the kingdom. Haruto agreed. Gold explained that Giselot had once joined the army sent to defeat the Monster King. She took the Monster King's head by herself, became famous as the Flash Princess, married the king with public support, and gained massive influence. Now that same woman was slowly trying to take the kingdom for herself. If she disappeared without a proper replacement, the country could fall into civil war. Haruto realized he made a mistake by completely ignoring his birth parents. He didn't want anything to do with them, so he never researched how dangerous Giselot really was. Gold said there was one person who could someday replace her, but that person was still too young. Haruto understood he meant Charlotte. She had enough ability to surpass Giselot, and if she grew up properly, she could be a queen who kept the kingdom stable. Gold asked if Haruto understood what he had to do. His job was to protect Charlotte until she became a proper queen. Once that happened, he could finally relax and enjoy his fantasy shut-in life without worrying about political assassins every 5 minutes. Later, Flay offered to bring Giselot's head for Haruto's revenge, but he refused. He said this was a matter between him and his biological mother, so he had to handle it himself. Haruto knew Giselot would interfere again, and he couldn't always defend, so he decided maybe it was time for a mother-son reunion after 10 years. Haruto decided he would deal with Giselot directly, and in the royal capital, the Queen Consort was already losing patience with her useless men. Her captain reported that a man called the Black Knight was destroying thieves in the border province and was probably behind the defeat of her summoner unit too. Giselot didn't care about their excuses. This was already their third failure, and they still couldn't remove a little girl named Charlotte. Giselot knew Charlotte could become a threat to her someday, so she thought about using the magic sword to personally deal with the Black Knight, the same sword she once used to defeat the Demon King. But before she could enjoy her evil queen moment, Haruto appeared in front of her as the Black Knight and casually asked if she wanted to fight. Giselot was shocked because her room was protected by many layers of barriers, but Haruto told her he simply broke through those cheap defenses. She realized this was the famous Black Knight and attacked him with multiple magic circles. She used water, wind, and fire in quick succession, and Haruto got a little jealous because she could use different elements so smoothly. But after all those attacks, he was still standing there completely unharmed. Giselot finally understood this man was no normal opponent. She blocked the first blow, so Haruto got serious and attacked her with overwhelming mana. The pressure was so insane, her mana started running out. Even the Demon King wasn't this powerful, yet Haruto kept pushing her like she was just another tutorial boss. Giselette still refused to give up because she believed no one could beat her in swordsmanship. She called herself the world's strongest, but after hearing that, Haruto basically decided there was nothing to worry about. He completely defeated her, then, instead of ending her, he punished her. He placed a collar around her neck and warned her if she tried to force it off, her head would go. Giselette was furious because the collar humiliated her and made her feel like a slave. Haruto didn't care about her pride, schemes, or throne drama. He gave her only one demand: she would never touch Gold, his family, or his province again. The collar would stay until Haruto decided to forgive her, and if she disobeyed, she already knew what would happen. After leaving the palace, Haruto met Flay. She praised him for defeating the Flash Princess and said it was satisfying to see Giselette fall so badly. Haruto said this would keep the peace for now, but warned that next time he wouldn't be so merciful. Flay was obviously excited for the day her master would stop holding back. 5 years passed peacefully. Giselette stopped interfering, and Haruto was about to turn 15. Unfortunately, his shut-in dream still wasn't perfect because Charlotte was still a full anime addict. During winter, Charlotte proudly showed Haruto a transformation brooch she made, while Flay built an insanely detailed snow castle. Haruto admitted both Charlotte and Flay were talented at the most useless things. He noticed Flay was freezing because she still wore the same outfit that once pleased him. Flay said she refused to wear anything else because it was the first outfit that pleased her. Haruto realized she was just an idiot, so he made her warmer clothes. Then Charlotte asked Haruto for a favor. She created a special snow attack, but couldn't use it herself, so she wanted Haruto to perform it. Haruto knew it would be embarrassing, but he couldn't say no to Charlotte. He followed her ridiculous instructions and performed a dramatic attack called Bloody Iceberg. The attack destroyed the snowfield and created a massive crater. Charlotte was overjoyed, and Flay praised his power, but Haruto just wanted to disappear from embarrassment. Then Natalia and Gold appeared because Charlotte had invited them to watch too. Haruto quickly tried to cover it up and blamed it on the Black Knight, saying he just passed by and showed them his special attack. Gold understood this nonsense, but decided to let it slide. Haruto asked Gold if there had been any incidents lately. Gold said things had been peaceful, and Charlotte hadn't been targeted since Giselette went quiet. He also mentioned there were rumors Giselette had started wearing a slave collar, and some people thought maybe someone had deliberately put it on her. Haruto quietly enjoyed the peace because it meant he could finally live like a proper shut-in. But Gold ruined his happiness in one sentence. He told Haruto that starting in spring, he would attend the royal capital's magic school. Haruto almost broke down because school was the place he hated most in his previous life, and the royal capital made it even worse. He decided if there were reasons he couldn't refuse, he would just crush those reasons himself. Later, Gold explained the king had personally sent a recommendation letter for Haruto. Gold suspected Princess Marianne must have asked for it because she got interested in Haruto after the tour. Prince Laius would also enroll early, and the king basically wanted Haruto and Laius to become friends. Haruto realized Marianne had accidentally dragged him into a nightmare. Gold also admitted Giselette might still be plotting something, but as Haruto's father, he wanted him to see the wider world. Haruto remembered how much Gold had done for him after taking him in, so he reluctantly agreed to go. Then Gold told him to take an attendant with him, but he also said Haruto couldn't take Flay, and Haruto knew she would definitely cause trouble. Natalia immediately offered herself and promised food, care, and cuddles, but both Haruto and Gold rejected that cursed idea on the spot. Haruto still made a plan to avoid school. He brought his copy into the plan and told it to go in his place. The copy refused because it had the same shut-in soul as the original. Haruto explained the copy couldn't use magic, so the school would just think it was useless and expel it. That way, the blame would fall on the king for misjudging Haruto's ability. The copy got angry because Haruto was basically sending it to get bullied, but Haruto promised to protect it with barriers. In the end, the copy accepted because it wanted a shut-in life too. Then Haruto showed off his true paradise, a lakeside log house far from the castle. He had built it over 5 years as his final shut-in base, and it even had his homemade handheld console. It was peaceful, quiet, and almost perfect, except Charlotte still visited to watch anime. Since traveling there was annoying, Haruto created a teleportation gate between the castle and the house. He had tested the gate, but never with a living being. Flay suggested using the copy as a test subject, just like a ruthless demon assistant. The copy immediately realized they were treating it like a lab rat and mocked Haruto for being too scared to test it himself. Haruto got pissed, and Flay kicked the copy through the gate. Luckily, the experiment worked. Charlotte checked on the copy, and it called her an elf, but she corrected it because now she was a magical girl. Haruto finished the teleportation setup so Charlotte could come and go safely. Everything seemed ready, but then Haruto remembered one annoying problem. He still had to find an attendant. Haruto was still hiding out with Charlotte and Flay, watching anime like it was the most important job in the world. But while Charlotte was enjoying another magical girl episode, Haruto suddenly remembered the annoying problem he'd been avoiding. He still needed an attendant. He almost said it out loud in front of Charlotte, so he quickly pretended he was just talking to himself and went outside for a walk. He had 3 months left, but finding the right person was harder than he expected. Then he remembered a certain place nearby and headed there. That place had become a skeleton settlement. These skeletons were actually summoned by those enemy magicians Haruto defeated 5 years ago. For some reason, they started following Haruto after that, so he gave them land and they built their own little monster town. Their commander was Johnny, a polite skeleton who greeted Haruto like a loyal noble servant. Haruto noticed the village had grown a lot. Now there were not just skeletons, but other stray monsters too. Johnny explained Flay had been rounding up homeless monsters from all over the province, and the skeletons took care of them now. Haruto had no idea about this, but since the monsters were behaving and staying out of trouble, he decided it was probably fine. Then Johnny showed him the farming district, where skeletons drew crops for the monsters. Haruto was surprised because skeletons didn't even eat, but they worked hard so the other monsters could survive winter. Johnny was polite, loyal, respected, organized, and even knew manners. Haruto realized this guy might be the perfect attendant. If he added fake flesh with magic, Johnny could probably pass as a human. Then Johnny ruined it by talking too much. He kept explaining crops, districts, grain, livestock, development, and a bunch of other things until Haruto's brain started dying. Haruto realized if he had to listen to all that every day, he'd go insane. Sadly, Johnny was honestly a good guy, but there was no stop button on his mouth. Haruto tried to escape, but then ran into Jigen, the giant golem from the same summoning incident. Jigen gave him a small flower because it thought it was pretty. Haruto was shocked because this massive golem spoke in a gentle, maiden-like voice. It was kind, quiet, and never caused trouble, so it also seemed like a good attendant. But the problem was obvious. It was way too huge. Jigen said it loved its quiet spot, then suddenly said it loved Haruto too. Haruto got awkward and left, because this attendant search was turning into more work than he expected. When he got back, Flay asked what he meant by attendant. Haruto got annoyed because she was only sharp when it came to creating trouble for him. He briefly thought about just taking Flay, but Gold had already banned that idea. Then Charlotte appeared with another anime-infected idea. She told Haruto she found a cooler reading for the Black Knight name Schwarzenkrieger, or Shiva for short. Haruto realized he had completely corrupted a fantasy noble girl with the internet and anime. Charlotte also visited the monster settlement and named it Pandemonium, meaning Garden of Demons. Johnny immediately loved the name, and now Haruto's accidental monster village had an edgy official title. Later, a group of adventurers tracked a large blue dragon near the Empire's border. They wanted to take it down for the bounty, but the wounded dragon escaped. Soon after, Gold told Haruto the dragon flew in from the Empire's side and crashed near their border. Technically, it wasn't their problem yet, but if it entered their territory and went wild, many people could lose their lives. Gold wanted Flay to investigate because she was a demon, but Flay refused. She only obeyed Haruto, and even when Haruto made it an order, she still resisted. She explained that if such a large dragon existed, it had to be old. Since she didn't know any blue dragons, it meant it probably hid in the mountains when demons were fighting humans in the war. For Flay, that meant the dragon was a coward who abandoned its side. Charlotte overheard all this and told Flay to help the dragon anyway. She said the dragon must be scared and helpless because it was wounded and alone. When Haruto backed up Charlotte, Flay couldn't refuse him, so she agreed even though her first idea was to wipe out the adventurers. Haruto had to remind her that wasn't the plan. Haruto and Flay found the dragon in terrible condition. The adventurers caught up and prepared to finish it off, but Haruto appeared as the Black Knight and used magic to heal the dragon. Flay immediately got furious at the adventurers for ganging up on the weak and tried to burn them, but Haruto stopped her before she could turn the rescue mission into a massacre. The dragon could speak telepathically, but she ignored Haruto at first and asked why a demon like Flay obeyed a human. Flay used the chance to brag about Haruto for a whole hour and explained their fated meeting in her own version. The dragon accepted that Haruto was the reincarnated demon king, and Haruto realized that stupid lie was somehow still alive. The dragon apologized for not fighting with the demons in the past. She admitted she hated fighting and spent about 300 years hiding deep in the mountains. Haruto was shocked and jealous because this dragon had achieved the ultimate shut-in life, on a scale even he couldn't match. She explained that one day an adventurer left a book in her cave. She read it over and over, then started visiting human villages in human form to collect more books. She quietly enjoyed enjoyed reading and learning until adventurers discovered her and started hunting her down. After hearing her story, Flay immediately changed her mind. She accepted the dragon as one of her own people and gave her permission to enter Pandemonium. Haruto offered her shelter there, and the dragon happily accepted. She also thanked Haruto for saving her and declared she would accept him as her master. Haruto sensed this might be the attendant solution he'd been looking for. The dragon changed into a girl, and Haruto immediately created proper clothes for her because he'd already learned his lesson from Flay's first transformation. She was curious about his creation magic, but Haruto told her they'd talk about it later. Since she didn't have a name, Haruto named her Lisa, based on Blizzard Dragon, and she happily accepted it. Then Flay made one thing clear. She started serving Haruto first, and Lisa was only second. Lisa quietly understood, but Flay already saw her as a rival. As they prepared to leave, Haruto noticed Liza could fly even in her human form, which made her even more useful. Flay looked at her with competitive fire and declared she wouldn't lose to this new dragon girl. Haruto brought Liza to the castle and introduced her as a Blizzard Dragon who wanted to work there as a maid. Natalia immediately accepted her because Liza looked adorable, and Charlotte happily introduced herself because she wanted to get along with her. Gold could barely believe this small girl was the same huge dragon they had talked about, but as long as she followed the castle's rules, he had no problem with Haruto's decision. Flay immediately started acting like a senior employee from Chaos. She told Liza there would be no half-hearted attitude and decided to test her maid skills. First, she taught Liza to clean outside, but Liza learned so fast, Flay couldn't even complain. Then she tested her with dishes and cooking, but Liza handled everything perfectly again. At dinner, Gold and Natalia praised the food she made, and Liza gently wiped food from Charlotte's face and treated her kindly. Natalia heard Liza was a quick learner, so she asked if she had any other skills. Liza explained she loved books, so she knew the basics of magic and other subjects. Then, Natalia suggested Liza should become Charlotte's personal maid. Gold agreed, and Liza accepted the job with serious determination. Flay quietly suffered because this new dragon girl was already beating her in maid points. Liza started taking proper care of Charlotte. She helped her dress, served her meals, taught her magic, and did laundry during training. Thanks to Liza's teaching, Charlotte created a large fireball, and Haruto was shocked at how insanely confident Liza was. She didn't complain, didn't make a mess, and actually enjoyed serving Charlotte. Then, Charlotte asked if she was a burden to Liza. Lisa said she enjoyed serving her, but Charlotte told her to honestly say if there was anything she disliked because she wanted to be her friend. Lisa didn't fully understand friendship at first, but Haruto told her she could accept it if she wanted. So Liza told Charlotte she wanted to be her friend too. Charlotte was extremely happy because she always wanted a friend, and Haruto almost melted at the precious scene. Then, at the worst timing, Haruto realized something. Lisa was exactly the perfect attendant he needed for the royal capital. She was calm, smart, well-behaved, and useful. But she had just become Charlotte's first real friend, so Haruto couldn't separate them like some heartless bastard. Then he remembered his teleportation door. He could take Liza as his attendant to the capital, then send her back to the castle right away. That basically solved his attendant problem. Later, Charlotte finished Tiny Love Cure and fell into depression because the anime was over. Haruto told her a new show would start next week, then casually mentioned he'd also attend school in the royal capital next week. Charlotte immediately mixed school with every anime trope she knew. In her mind, school meant hidden student councils, terrorists, magical battles, and secret evil groups. Charlotte canceled her plans and ordered Lisa to summon the knights for an emergency roundtable meeting. Haruto had no idea what she meant, but Charlotte gathered Flay, Lisa, Johnny, and Jigen like she was running a secret organization. She told everyone Haruto would attend school in the capital, and Flay immediately freaked out because Haruto hadn't reported it to her before. Charlotte explained Haruto once said school was a scary and dangerous place. Since she believed Haruto couldn't fear anything normal, she concluded there must be some powerful enemy hidden in the school. Using anime logic, she created a whole theory that there was an evil student council corrupting students, forcing intruders into magical battles, and working with a secret syndicate that could shake the kingdom. Flay and Johnny accepted this insane theory right away. Charlotte decided Haruto would fight the secret enemy at school as Black Knight Shade. She ordered herself, Flay, and Liza to gather intelligence in the royal capital, while Johnny and Jigen were told to prepare Pandemonium for future operations. Liza was the only sane one and asked if maybe they should tell Haruto, but Charlotte said they shouldn't worry him. So the roundtable proudly decided to support Haruto without asking anything. Later, Liza reported this whole disaster to Haruto. He thanked her because without her, these idiots would probably have started a full secret war in the capital. Then Liza seriously asked if he was really fighting an evil syndicate. Haruto saw how earnest she was, so instead of crushing her belief, he lied and said he had been acting in secret from the start. Then he told Lisa to come with him as his attendant to the capital because only she could handle this vital mission. Lisa accepted, and Haruto finally got his attendant. After that, the episode showed small moments around the castle. During a maid break, Flay gave the maids relationship advice, but whenever someone complained about a man, husband, mother-in-law, or noisy neighbor, Flay told them to cut them off. The maids thought she meant ending the relationship, but Flay clearly meant removing their heads because her sense of social settings was not normal. Charlotte also asked why Flay's maid outfit was so different from the others. Flay explained a normal maid outfit couldn't handle her body, so the maids had to make a custom one. Haruto once told her it looked good, so Flay proudly kept wearing it. Then Charlotte asked Flay to teach her how to fly. Flay claimed she could fly, but her flying was just jumping at ridiculous speed. Natalia scolded Charlotte for demanding too much, so Flay immediately went to Haruto. He understood the problem and gave Charlotte a safe barrier tool that let her float properly. Charlotte was thrilled because she could finally fly, while Haruto quietly completed another small Big Brother mission. Flay also refused to take normal baths because she was too wild and thought cleaning herself with cold water was enough. Haruto also asked Lisa how she spent her time in her cave. She explained she woke up around noon, read books, took a nap, woke up at night, read again, and then slept. Haruto got jealous because this felt like the ultimate shut-in life. Liza also said she only ate about once a week, making her sound like a veteran recluse and a hardcore dieter at the same time. Then Liza asked how Haruto's teleportation door worked. Haruto said he just connected two barriers, but that didn't explain much to Liza, because teleportation magic should be extremely advanced. When she realized this logic probably didn't belong to this world, she accepted it a little more easily. Later, Haruto built an open-air bath, and at first Flay acted like hot water wasn't for fiends. But a few days later, she completely changed her mind and started enjoying baths like a normal person after work. Finally, Haruto created a mana assessment device and checked everyone's levels. Flay and Lisa had high mana because they were fiends, but Charlotte's maximum level was also shockingly high. Haruto remembered Giselot was announced as level 44, yet Charlotte's potential was already way above normal. Charlotte explained she created a fireball before she could walk or talk, so Natalia placed a sealing incantation on her. Haruto realized his little sister was a natural-born genius, but when they asked his level, he refused to tell them. Haruto finally left for the royal capital with Lisa as his attendant, while Gold reminded him to be careful. He also asked if Lisa's horns and tail were properly hidden, and Haruto said it would take time for her to get used to it. Meanwhile, Flay was dying of jealousy because Lisa was going with Haruto and she had to stay behind. Charlotte comforted her, but still sent Haruto off like he was going to fight some grand evil. In the royal capital, Marianne rushed into Laius' room with a letter from Gold. Laius already guessed it probably said Haruto had left for the capital, but Marianne got annoyed because she worked hard for Haruto's school recommendation. Laius admitted he wanted Haruto at the academy because he wanted to understand why that level 2 guy was so stupidly strong. After losing to Haruto, Laius trained more in magic and swordsmanship, but the more he improved, the farther away Haruto felt. Marianne also got exposed because apparently she refused to leave her room until the recommendation was approved. Laius teased her for being even more obsessed with Haruto than he was, and Marianne panicked so much the conversation almost sounded romantic. Laius wasn't even talking about love, but now the awkward silence said enough. The mood changed when they talked about the Order of Lucifera. Marianne explained it acted like a branch of the State Order, but was actually a dangerous faction with extremist ideas. They might even serve a demon, and their influence was spreading in the academy and the kingdom. Even worse, some members were talking about overthrowing the monarchy, and more nobles were joining them with money. Laius said there were rumors Giselot was secretly funding them. He no longer understood what his mother wanted. She changed 5 years ago, and she refused to explain who put that collar on her neck. Laius admitted he was scared of her. She was always ruthless, but now she felt even more dangerous. Since the king and queen were already on bad terms, the faction could try to exploit the situation. Marianne hoped Haruto could change things because his power seemed impossible to measure. Laius thought that was too much to expect, but he'd also heard about the Black Knight in Gold's province, a hero strong enough to defeat a dragon. Before they could say more, Giselot entered the room. Giselot acted calm at first, but when Marianne glanced at her collar, she snapped and grabbed Marianne's face. She asked if Marianne thought she was funny, pitiful, or shameful. Laius quickly stopped her, and Giselot pretended it was just a joke. Then she told Laius to get close to Haruto and learn whatever he could about the Black Knight. Whatever he found, he just had to report it to her. Laius had no choice but to obey, but after she left, he realized he might have dragged Haruto into something terrible. Meanwhile, Haruto was cheating his travel schedule like a lazy genius. As soon as his carriage was out of sight, he went back to his lakeside house and waited there because he had already installed a teleportation door near the capital. When the proper arrival day came, Charlotte reminded him to leave, and Flay begged him one last time to reconsider. Charlotte told Flay they had their own work, so Haruto and Liza went through the door. They arrived in a forest near the capital because it was the only place Haruto could hide the door. Since flying would attract attention, they walked. On the way, they saw an evil bison attacking a stagecoach. Haruto wanted to ignore it, but he knew if Charlotte found out, she wouldn't let him live in peace. So he transformed into Shiva, the Black Knight. He put up barriers and protected the passengers. A girl named Iris tried to distract the monster so the others could run, but she got injured. Haruto saved her, healed her wounds, and tried to avoid explaining his healing. A kid thanked him, so Haruto introduced himself as Shiva, enforcer of justice. The kid liked the dramatic act, which made Haruto decide the cringe was worth it. Iris explained that the stagecoach was cheap transport for people with little money, so she couldn't really reward him. Haruto told her a hero of justice didn't expect rewards, and he also decided to send the monster back to its herd because it only attacked out of hunger. Iris was impressed he showed mercy even to a monster. After leaving, Liza said Iris felt strange somehow, like there was something not normal about her. Haruto didn't want to get involved with more weird people, so he decided to avoid her. At the academy, Haruto immediately started hating everything. The crowd was huge, the registration line was annoying, and even his assigned room was so fancy he couldn't relax. So he almost immediately went back home through the door. Charlotte and Flay welcomed him back, and Haruto admitted the capital had already exhausted him. He just wanted food and peace, but Charlotte suggested eating at a restaurant in the capital. Flay rejected the idea at first because she wanted to cook for Haruto herself, but Charlotte whispered something in her ear, and Flay instantly switched sides. Haruto was impressed Charlotte could control Flay so easily. Then Charlotte dressed Flay in cosplay to hide her demon features, but Haruto said people would notice her even more quickly. So he made her ears and tail invisible, just like he did for Liza. They all went to the castle town, and Charlotte got excited seeing the busy streets and shops. After eating, Charlotte pulled out a map and revealed this wasn't just a fun outing. She wanted everyone to survey the capital so they'd know if a hidden enemy made a move. Flay got the south, Liza got the west, and Charlotte took Haruto to the east. Haruto played along because it was impossible to stop her anime-brained mission mode. Then Charlotte happily called it a date. Haruto almost short-circuited because he knew she probably learned the word from anime, but part of him still treated it like his first real date in both lives. He went full overindulgent brother mode, bought her a cute accessory as soon as he saw one, and thanked the universe for the dangerous power called shopping with a cute little sister. While walking, Charlotte bumped into Iris. Iris recognized Haruto's enormous mana, but not his face, so Haruto said his mana level was only 2. Iris assumed she must be tired from her long trip and rushed off for her part-time interview. After she left, Charlotte also said Iris felt strange and wasn't an ordinary person. Since both Charlotte and Liza sensed something about Iris, Haruto wondered if high mana people might be able to sense something about her. Still, he didn't want extra headaches, so he decided to stay locked in his room and do absolutely nothing until the entrance ceremony. Haruto found out the academy wanted to give him a proficiency test before the entrance ceremony, and his copy immediately refused to handle it. The copy had already been trapped in the dorm room for days, so it wasn't ready to suffer through an exam too. Haruto was annoyed at first, but then realized this might be his chance. If he failed badly enough, the academy could kick him out before school even started, and his shut-in life could come back right away. So Haruto went to the academy himself, and a staff member named Polkos guided him. The huge classroom almost drained his soul because it looked like a place where 100 extroverts could gather at once. Haruto imagined himself sitting there in spring, probably surrounded by people trying to make friends, and his body almost gave up on life. He started the written test fully confident he would fail. The problem was he genuinely didn't know most of the questions, so he simply wrote that he had no clue. But then, the barrier magic section came up. Since pretending to know nothing at all might look suspicious, Haruto wrote a few answers from his own experience. He wrote that barriers could move, change color, and stay active without mana. For him, these were just simple half-assed answers, but he didn't realize normal people didn't treat barrier magic like a custom settings menu. Then, the ancient magic section came up, and Haruto remembered the books he read as an excuse to stay in his room. He started writing from memory and got carried away before he noticed. By the end of the written test, he had accidentally answered way too much. Next, Polkos took him to the mana assessment room. Haruto tried to avoid it by saying his mana level was already known to be 2, but Academy policy didn't care about his suffering. There he met Terrietta Luciano, a tiny professor who researched ancient magic. Haruto first thought she looked like a kid, but Terrietta basically read his thoughts and scolded him before he could hide anything. Terrietta warned him that even with the king's recommendation, if he got on her bad side, she could send him home. Instead of being scared, Haruto got excited because being sent home was literally his dream. This made Terrietta even more interested in him, and Haruto realized this weird professor was already dangerous in a completely different way. She first checked his written answers. Haruto expected her to get angry at his garbage work, but then she moved on to the mana assessment. Haruto touched the Miha crystal and immediately shattered it. He got excited because breaking an expensive testing tool should definitely get him kicked out of the academy academy, but Tirieta did the opposite. She was thrilled because the crystal broke from being unable to handle his magic. Polkos was confused because Haruto's maximum mana level was supposedly 2, but Tirieta refused to accept that simple explanation. She said the logic of Miha's crystals was still unknown, so researchers shouldn't blindly trust them and should investigate instead. Then she also praised Haruto's written test. She called his no-clue answers refreshing, his barrier answers brilliant, and the ancient magic section almost like her own writing. Haruto then realized she was the ancient magic author with that absurdly long name. Tirieta decided she would take him under her wing as her research student, but Haruto refused with his whole soul and escaped. His plan to fail before school started turned into a complete disaster because he accidentally made a good impression on the worst possible professor. Haruto went back and explained everything to the copy. The copy was furious because Haruto had made their school life harder from the start, but neither of them gave up on escaping school. Since the entrance ceremony was next, the copy had to go in Haruto's place. Charlotte gave it something from the original Haruto and wished it luck, but the copy still felt like it was being sacrificed to die in society. The entrance ceremony finished without issue, and the copy tried to get back to the dorm as fast as possible, but then it got caught in a swarm of students and immediately sensed danger. Before it could escape, a blonde upperclassman named Schneidel called out to Iris, the same white-haired girl Haruto saved before. The copy tried to slip away, but Schneidel dragged both of them into his nonsense. Schneidel was the academy's vice president, and he expected new students to bow to him like he owned the whole place. Iris calmly said she didn't remember any rule like that in the academy handbook, which somehow made him even angrier. Then Schneidel ordered the copy to explain things to her, but the copy had no idea what was going on and tried to fake a stomach pain to escape. Schneidel saw through the lie and attacked with magic. The copy panicked because it had no real magic, but Haruto's defensive barrier protected it. Its uniform got damaged, but the body was fine. Later, it tried to act hurt, but that just made the situation look even more ridiculous. Iris apologized for getting it involved, but she was so bad at reading the room that even the socially useless copy felt superior for once. Schneidel lost control and fired another attack. This time, Haruto's defense reacted and injured Schneidel's arm, so the copy ran away before things got worse. Later, it told Haruto that Tirieta also chased it, trying to invite it to her room for tea. Haruto realized this school was insane, because students could get hit by magic attacks in the hallway for no reason. Then Haruto got a formal duel challenge from Schneidel. An attendant explained that rejecting the duel would dishonor Margrave Zenfeis, and intentionally losing would cause even bigger trouble. Haruto was forced to accept, but he still wanted a way to lose without getting hurt. While thinking, he noticed Iris heading alone toward the Hoffen estate and decided to watch her. Iris went to Schneidel and told him to cancel the duel because everything started because of her. Schneidel was injured and surrounded by servants, but he still acted like a spoiled fat jerk. He insulted Iris, abused his healer, and demanded an apology. When she asked what would satisfy him, he told her to dance naked right there. Iris was scared and trembling, but started to agree because she thought it might stop the duel. Haruto couldn't take it anymore. He used a special dimension to remove Iris from the room and told her to respect herself, put her clothes back on, and go back to the dorm. Then he appeared before Schneidel as Shadow, enforcer of justice. Schneidel demanded to know who he was, but Haruto just said he came to punish him. Haruto placed a vice block on Schneidel and listed his crimes. First, he picked fights with new students for no fair reason. Second, he tried to publicly punish an underclassman using a duel. Third, he sexually harassed Iris by demanding that disgusting dance. Schneidel tried to defend himself with noble etiquette, but Haruto shut him down because the same jerk who acted like a tyrant had no right to complain about unfairness. Haruto warned him if he used magic or tried to remove it, the block would tighten. Schneidel immediately tested it, and the block crushed him even harder. Haruto told him to cancel the duel because he wouldn't be able to fight in 2 days, then left him humiliated in front of his cronies. Schneidel's servants panicked. Some people laughed at him, and Schneidel screamed Shadow's name like a villain who just got a taste of real punishment. Haruto was called in by the academy teachers, and for a second, he thought his expulsion dream had finally come true. But instead of kicking him out, the teachers started praising him because now everyone believed he defeated Schneidel in a single blow. Students had already started gossiping about him, and Haruto realized his school life was getting louder before it even properly started. Then Tirieta appeared and tried to drag him into her research lab again. Haruto refused before she could even finish talking, but this little professor didn't know how to give up. She explained there were 2 main paths in the academy. One was the night course, where students trained for military work. The other was the researcher course, where students stayed in labs and studied new magic. Since Haruto's entrance exam showed interest in ancient magic, Tirieta wanted to take him under her wing. Haruto still refused, but then Laius and Marianne arrived. Laius had completely changed over the years and now looked like a buff idiot prince. Marianne was still calm and elegant, but she also wanted Haruto to join her lab. Laius wanted Haruto with him too, and Tirieta refused to hand him over. In seconds, All three started fighting over Haruto like he was some rare limited edition item, while Haruto just wanted to escape this social hell. Just then, Iris appeared and said she needed to talk to Haruto. He immediately used her as an excuse and ran off with her, leaving Leas, Marianne, and Tirietta behind. Marianne instantly got curious about Iris's relationship with Haruto, while Tirietta still refused to give up. Outside, Iris asked Haruto something strange. She wanted to know if he was the same person she met yesterday. Haruto got nervous because yesterday she met his copy, not the real Haruto. Haruto reflexively activated a barrier, and Iris sensed that too. Then Iris explained that yesterday she didn't feel any mana from him, but today she felt a heavy force from him, so strong it could push her down. This made Haruto realize she wasn't normal. Only people like Flay could describe his mana that way. He even asked if Iris was a demon, but she calmly said she was human. But her wording was weird because she said if she wasn't human, it would be troublesome. Haruto told Iris to treat both his versions as the same person because he couldn't explain more right now. Iris accepted that, then apologized for dragging him into the Schneidel mess. She thanked him for protecting her, and then asked if he would be her friend. Haruto reacted casually, but Iris took it as a yes and got extremely happy because she never had a friend before. Haruto asked why she chose him, and Iris said they kept meeting by chance, so maybe it was fate. Then she told him about her past. She was abandoned after birth, and then abandoned again and again. It happened 4 times because even as a baby she could talk, and normal people obviously freaked out. In the end, a refuge took her in, but even there, most people mistreated her. Only one caretaker was kind to her, but he passed away when she was 5. Because of that, Iris grew up isolated and never learned normal common sense. She wanted a friend so she could understand human society better. Haruto told her she picked the wrong guy because he had no friends or social skills, not even in his previous life. But Iris somehow thought that was perfect because they could learn common sense together. Haruto started to think maybe being friends could actually be useful. If Iris helped him avoid school problems, maybe this friendship thing wasn't so bad. Then he asked which lab she planned to join, and she said the ancient magic lab. Of course, that meant Terietta's lab. Haruto hated it, but since Iris was joining, he decided to join too. He told her they were friends, so it was better to be in the same lab. Iris got so happy even Haruto couldn't resist her pure smile. Then Haruto finally realized Iris never told him her name. When he introduced himself properly, she started to give her full name. At the same time, Flay and Liza were relaxing in the bath at home. Charlotte felt sad because Haruto spent less time with her after school started, and Flay was also suffering because she couldn't be by Haruto's side. Liza told Flay she was impressive for adapting so well to her new life. Flay got embarrassed, then talked about her old role among the demons. Flay explained she once gathered demons around the Demon King. The Demon King was kind and wanted to create a world where humans and demons could live together. But when the Flash Princess attacked, he let the demons escape and sacrificed himself. Flay believed maybe he planned to reincarnate as a human so he could change humanity from the inside. Then she revealed the Demon King's name, Irisphilia. At that same moment, Iris also said her full name was Irisphilia. That made everything suddenly suspicious because Iris had exactly the same name. But Haruto had no idea how dangerous or important that connection could be, so he just kept treating her like his new friend. Haruto thought the name was too long and asked if he could just call her Iris. She accepted it, but for a moment said he reminded her of back then. After that, Iris asked if Haruto had chosen his classes. He hadn't, so she suggested they do it together. Haruto accidentally invited her to his room, then suddenly realized he'd invited a girl in without thinking. Before he could properly panic, Charlotte appeared and almost asked if Iris was his lover. Haruto immediately cut her off and said Iris was just his friend. Charlotte was relieved and said her sudden flash of insight probably happened because Haruto made a friend. Then she praised him for finding such a wonderful friend so quickly. But this anime poison girl immediately took things too far and said Haruto could easily find 5 or 10 lovers. Then she said she'd have to prepare herself because someday she planned to become his second wife. Haruto almost lost his mind, but convinced himself Charlotte was just doing that thing kids do. He introduced Iris to Charlotte, and both girls politely greeted each other. Then Haruto tried to focus on class selection, but quickly got annoyed and told Charlotte to pick his classes for him. Charlotte happily accepted and finished everything fast. Iris was confused because Haruto didn't even check what Charlotte picked, but Haruto said he trusted Char. That made Charlotte extremely happy. Then Iris asked if Haruto entered the academy for any special goal. Charlotte answered before Haruto could stop her. She said Haruto's true goal was outside academics, and even as a friend, Iris couldn't know everything yet. that. Then she proudly declared Haruto had already transcended the idea of learning from others. Iris completely believed her and started looking at Haruto as even more amazing. Haruto realized Charlotte was about to create another disaster, so he quickly asked why she came in the first place. Charlotte said she'd already finished her purpose and decided to return home. But Haruto couldn't let Iris see the anyplace door, so he blocked Iris's view as Charlotte left. Even so, Iris heard the sound of a door opening somewhere other than the entrance, but Haruto told her not to worry about the details. After all that trouble, Haruto sat with Iris and said they'd work hard together until the day he finally got expelled. Haruto's first real school day finally started, and Charlotte acted like his personal manager. She explained that because of the entrance exam rules, he'd probably enter C class, but if he performed well, he could move up to A class. Haruto obviously didn't want that, but then he looked at the rest of his schedule and almost lost his core. Charlotte had picked several hard upper grade classes because she thought everything would be easy for him. At first, Haruto refused, but then his dumb shut-in brain found hope in the mess. If he took difficult classes, teachers would expect too much from him, and if he disappointed them, maybe they'd finally kick him out. So he accepted the schedule, while Charlotte gave him a long goodbye hug before leaving. At school, Iris greeted him and met Liza. She said she was Haruto's friend, while Liza quietly asked Haruto if Iris was really human. Even being so close, Liza couldn't tell if Iris was a demon or a human, which made Iris even more suspicious. Haruto said Iris didn't seem evil, so they should leave her alone for now. Then Haruto entered C class and immediately noticed everyone staring at him. Because of the Schneidel incident, the whole school was already talking about him. The teacher explained that C class was the middle class, and students could move up or drop down based on exams. Then he announced a test on the first day, and Haruto thought his chance had finally come. He planned to purposely fail, but the questions seemed so easy even young Charlotte could have solved them. Haruto assumed the teacher was just trying to calm everyone down with simple questions, so if he got too many wrong, it would look fake. He decided to aim for around 60 with careless mistakes. But after the test, the teacher revealed the class average barely reached 20, and even B-class students would score around 50 on this test. Haruto's careless 60 became the best result in class, and the teacher praised him in front of everyone. He even said he'd recommend Haruto for a class before the next lesson. Haruto realized the problem wasn't that he was smart. The real monster was Charlotte, because his little sister was so talented she made hard education feel normal for him. After that, Haruto joined advanced elemental theory class with Iris and Laius. Iris clung close to Haruto. Laius got annoyed, and the two started arguing like jealous kids. Their professor, Oratoria Belcom, arrived and immediately seemed like a strict nightmare. She scolded the 3 first years for taking an advanced class and chatting in the front row. She also said she'd be extra harsh on Haruto and Iris because they joined Tirietta's ancient magic lab. Belcom started the lesson with element theory. She checked Iris first and found she had every element with chaos as her main element. Even Belcom was impressed, but then called Iris's mana level 5 a waste and tried to recruit her for her own lab. Iris refused without hesitation. Then Belcom explained that measuring sub-element control was hard because spell type and hidden factors could change the results. Laius gave a normal answer about practice and proficiency, but Haruto accidentally spoke up and said maybe it was because of hidden properties under each element. He immediately realized he'd messed up because only Charlotte and his group knew about those hidden properties. Belcom froze because this was cutting-edge research from a mystery scholar called Wycie Yule, or White Owl. This unknown person had been sending advanced research papers for years, and the Academy hadn't even reported everything to the royal family yet. Belcom thought Haruto's insight was insane and tried to recruit Haruto too, but he refused again. Then Belcom asked if he was Wycie Yule. Haruto denied it, but when he heard the cool name, he also wondered who was behind it. Charlotte appeared with a sparkle in his mind. Laius admitted he was amazing. Iris proudly praised him, and Haruto's plan to look useless failed again. Later, Haruto's copy went to Tirietta's lab in his place. Tirietta was happy because Haruto and Iris joining her lab meant her research lab would keep operating until they graduated. The copy just wanted to leave. But then Tirietta noticed something had happened to Polkos and took everyone to check. Instead, they found Schneidel there, half dead from exhaustion. Tirietta explained Schneidel had come to her because of the strange spell placed on him. She thought it might be ancient magic, so Tirietta researched it all night and completely drained him in the process. Iris touched his shoulder and sensed clear, colorless cylinders that squeezed his shoulder when healing magic was used. Tirietta explained it seemed to be a non-elemental barrier, and since it stayed active for more than a day without mana supply, it might be ancient magic. This situation became dangerous for Haruto because Tirietta was sharp. She said only someone level 80 or higher could use something like that. Schneidel said he didn't know who it was, only that it was a man in black with a strange voice. Tirieta connected it to the hero of justice from the border province and noticed this hero appeared in the capital around the same time Haruto did. The copy tried to deny everything, but Tirieta cornered it with more questions. She got even more excited and started thinking Haruto must know ancient magic secrets. The copy finally snapped and mentally begged the original Haruto to save it. Haruto appeared at the perfect time as Shade, proving he'd been watching the whole mess like a lazy jerk. He claimed he had no connection to Haruto and said he came to the capital to punish evildoers. Tirieta casually said Schneidel was part of a suspicious group, and Haruto was shocked because the evil syndicate theory somehow turned out to be real. Haruto played along and told Schneidel if he canceled the duel, Shade would remove the curse by the next morning. Schneidel hated him, but had no choice and agreed. Haruto tried to leave, but Tirieta secretly bound him with magic because she wanted him to answer 271 questions. Haruto checked her spell and saw it mixed earth and darkness elements, making it stronger than normal binding magic. Then he neutralized it and froze Tirieta in place with his barrier. Instead of being scared, this crazy professor got even more excited and said she now had 824 questions. She kept begging for answers and even shamelessly offered something in exchange, while Pocos yelled at her to stop being an idiot. Then Tirieta admitted she needed to go to the bathroom, so Haruto used it as his negotiation chance. He told her to stop her investigation. Tirieta quickly promised because she didn't want to embarrass herself in front of the students. Haruto finally left as Shade, Tirieta ran to the bathroom, and Haruto barely escaped another disaster. But now, Tirieta's lab had seen Shade, Tirieta suspected ancient magic, and even the supposed evil syndicate might actually exist. His peaceful school life was already completely ruined. Tear's research lab held a welcome party for its new members, but the poor person stuck there was Haruto C. Everyone cheered for the newcomers, and the copy already felt tired because the whole social event wasn't made for a shut-in. Poco sat next to him and said he thought they were alike because both always got dragged into other people's messes. Then Pocos explained he used to teach Tear when she was younger. She was already a genius and learned even faster than he could teach. She chased new theories, tested every strange idea, and eventually became so talented people thought she deserved the title of sage. But after all that, she still chose ancient magic, a lost field that might not even be useful. Pocos still didn't understand why a genius like her threw herself into that headache. Haruto C tried to comfort him, but it backfired and made Pocos feel even more average. Then Iris suddenly showed up with completely different energy, and Haruto C quickly realized she had been drinking. She got clingy, thanked him for joining the lab, and said she thought she could get stronger here. Then she fell asleep on him, like this poor copy was now everyone's emotional support pillow. After that, Tear also got a little honest from the alcohol. She explained Iris had every element, which should make her like a hero from Legends, but her mana level was only 535, and it might never go much higher. Maybe that's why Iris came to ancient magic. Since ancient magic came from an age where level 100 people existed, maybe there was a clue in it that could help raise her level. Tear said even chasing a tiny possibility was beautiful, then she also fell asleep. But outside this peaceful party, Schneidel was losing his mind. He knew soon everyone would find out he canceled the duel. He had even sided with the Lucifera faction to make his father the next king, but now all his schemes were falling apart. So this spoiled bastard sent the Hoffenhaus Special Assassin Unit that same night to eliminate Haruto and the other 3 people in the mansion. The assassins surrounded the mansion and confirmed the targets were inside. They thought 3 people were drunk and Haruto was sleeping on the sofa, so they believed victory was guaranteed. But when they tried to enter, an invisible wall blocked them. They checked the whole building and realized the mansion was completely sealed by a barrier. Then a strange door appeared in front of them, and when they attacked it, their plan started to fall apart. Shiva appeared, but the assassins couldn't figure out where he was. He kept confusing them with barriers, a strange door, and multiple versions of himself. The captain started to panic because he was never told there could be more than one Shiva. Before they could do anything, Haruto revealed himself and sealed all 20 assassins at once. Then he calmly decided to interrogate the captain and find out everything behind the attack. Soon, Haruto faced Schneidel directly. Schneidel immediately denied everything and said he'd never seen those assassins before. In response, Haruto showed a projection of the past, where Schneidel was clearly ordering them to eliminate Haruto and the others. Schneidel freaked out because he couldn't believe Haruto could show past events like that. Haruto said sending assassins over a stupid grudge was too much, and the vice block clearly taught him nothing. So now, he needed real punishment. Schneidel thought Haruto was going to end him, but before that, he used a strange syringe on himself. The syringe instantly turned him into a giant monster, and Haruto had to move him out of the building. Haruto really wanted to pretend he never saw this mess, but Charlotte contacted him because she couldn't sleep and felt he was up to something again. Haruto told her he was fighting a mysterious monster, and when she asked what kind, he made up an anime-style explanation. He said a certain organization experimented on a human and turned him into this. Charlotte got upset and asked if there was any way to save him. Haruto hadn't even thought about saving Schneidel at first, but since Charlotte asked, last, he decided to try. The monster was extremely strong, even stronger than Jigen, and Haruto's normal attacks didn't work well. He tried to stop its arms, but the monster just tore them off and regenerated them. Haruto got annoyed because this thing kept making the fight harder. Then Charlotte noticed something important. The monster had started shrinking, and its skin looked paler. Haruto realized if he kept cutting off monster parts, Schneidel could return to normal. He praised Charlotte for noticing, and now he finally had a real plan. Haruto went all out and, for Charlotte's sake, used a dramatic new special attack. He created countless blades and sent them at Schneidel to carve away the monster form without eliminating him. Charlotte got excited because it looked like another hero move, but Haruto secretly covered the ugly parts with bright light so she wouldn't see anything too rough. The plan worked. Schneidel returned to his normal body, and Haruto told Charlotte Schneidel was saved because of her. Charlotte felt happy and went back to sleep, but now Haruto had to clean up the whole mess. He tried to question Schneidel again, but Schneidel was too broken to talk and just ran away. Haruto decided to grab the syringe Schneidel used, repair the mansion, and finally get some rest. Later, Haruto talked to his copy. Haruto C admitted that even after everything, he kind of found the school life fun. Haruto understood because they were the same person, and he couldn't deny it either. They were shut-ins in their previous life, but now they had slowly changed. At some point, being around other people stopped feeling completely bad. Haruto praised his copy for doing a good job and let it stay over since curfew had already passed. Meanwhile, Charlotte, Flay, Liza, Johnny, and the others continued their investigation. Flay tried to question people in the capital, but some idiots tried to mess with her. Obviously, it ended badly for them, and Liza calmly forced them to tell her everything they knew. The group learned the king and queen consort were on bad terms, and unrest was spreading among the nobles. Charlotte took this as proof. Her predictions were right. She believed danger was already near the royal capital. The group watched Haruto's fight footage again, and everyone praised how amazing Haruto looked. Liza realized they were getting off topic, but Charlotte connected the attack to the student council vice president. Since the incident happened after Haruto entered the academy, she believed the hidden student council and evil syndicate were involved. Then Charlotte declared they had to act before this burden fell on Haruto. Their plan was to infiltrate the academy, gather intelligence, and expose everyone connected to the evil syndicate. Liza reminded her that meeting of the round table was just the name of their meetings, so they needed a proper group name. Charlotte chose Camelot, and everyone accepted it. Haruto watched all this and realized things were moving forward without him again. Still, Tyr had already confirmed a suspicious group really existed, and Haruto couldn't shake the feeling she was involved, so he decided he would carefully monitor everything and support Charlotte's group from the shadows. In the end, he told himself it was all for one goal: to someday live a quiet, shut-in life.